Welcome back. The last function that we're going to be learning about is the VLookup function. This is going to be the most difficult function that you learn. So if you feel like you are confused at the end, that's all right. Just make sure that you took the notes, you got the information down, and tomorrow we're going to do an exercise in class together so that you really understand how it works. So first, what is a VLookup function? Well, it's used for choices within a range. Choices are placed in a table somewhere else in a different spreadsheet. So, for example, this could be used when we are trying to figure out what grade you have. So, a 70 to a 74 is going to be a D, or excuse me, a 70 to 73 is going to be a D. A 74 to a 79 is going to be a C. An 80 to an 89 is going to be a B, and a 90 to a 100 is going to be an A. So those are ranges, and we have to figure out, based on the range, the percentage, what is the answer, which would be A, B, or C. So the first part of this function is the lookup. We start off, like we do the others, equals VLookup. And then you give me the cell in which we are looking up. So we would read this, look in cell H7. This is where the data has been entered. This data will be compared to the lookup chart that you will create on the same spreadsheet. So for instance, in cell H7, that would be where we would find maybe a student's percentage, so 75. So we're saying look in cell H7, which contains 75%, and then compare that to our table and tell us what the answer is. So we're just saying look in this cell. The second part of the formula is to go to. So we say equals VLookup, look in cell H7, comma. Again, notice that the different parts are separated by commas. Then go to cells B20 through C25. This is where the range of information is found. You would put this somewhere on the spreadsheet. So go to the cells B20 through C25 and find the number that is less than or equal to H7 in column B. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. But before we do anything else, I want you to notice the dollar signs that are found on B20 and C25. Remember, that means that these cells are absolute. They're never going to change. And you should always have this part of the function in absolute reference. So here's an example of the chart that you would make on the spreadsheet. In column B, row 20, we have 0. And then in column B, row 21, we have 10. So because 10 is the lowest number in that range, we know that 0 actually represents 0 through 9. 10 represents 10 through 19. 20, 20 through 29, 30, 30 through 39, and 40 and above. So this is going to be your criteria, what you're comparing it to. So for instance, if we were using the grading scale, it would be 0, it would be 70, 74, 80, and 90, all the lowest numbers. Column C gives you the answer for whatever that cell looks at. And we're going to get more into that in just a second. So the last part is the find the answer, and this is where we're going to really go into detail. So we have equals VLookup, look in cell H7, comma, then go to cells B20 through C25 and find which number is is less than or equal to the number that you're referencing in H7. Then give me the answer in the second column. That is what the to means. The to means go to the second column, which is column C, and find the answer. This will never change. In your VLookup formula, it is always 2 at the end. And then the last part is that you tell it to put the answer in the cell where the formula was typed. So now, different things to remember. First, what we were talking about earlier, column B, or the left column, is your criteria column. It can only contain the lowest number in the range. Again, remember 0, 70, 74, 80, and 90. all the lowest numbers of the ranges for our grading scale. Anything in the left column cannot contain hyphens or words. The right column is your answer column. This is where we get our answer from. It can contain anything, words, hyphens, formulas. However, if you put words in the formula, then you have to put the quotations around it. So make sure that you remember that. And again, we're going to look at an example tomorrow. So this may have been a little bit confusing, but tomorrow you're really going to understand this and it's going to make a lot more sense to you. And when we do this tomorrow, I want you to remember that when we are using these functions, we are talking about using them in big companies who have millions and millions upon millions of spreadsheets and data that they are calculating and working with. I hope that this was helpful and informative. Again, if you're confused, don't worry about it. Just take the notes, and tomorrow we're going to look at a great example and you're going to be ready to go. See you then.